I never thought one sentence, just one, could change everything about my life. But it did. And it started with this. I begged him to never stop. And he never stopped. This isn't one of those stories that begins with fireworks or fairy tale moments. It started in the most ordinary way, on a rainy Thursday afternoon, when I sat across from a man I barely knew, in a quiet little cafe tucked away from the rest of the world. I didn't know it at the time, but that moment would become the beginning of everything I didn't know I needed. He was the kind of man who didn't need to be loud to be noticed. There was a stillness to him, like he had seen storms and chosen peace anyway. His voice was calm, his eyes steady. But beneath all that quiet confidence, I could feel something deeper. He listened like listening was a skill. He asked questions that didn't feel like interviews. He made silence feel safe. And I was starving for that kind of presence. You ever meet someone who just shows up? Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, soulfully? That was him. And I remember telling myself, don't mess this up. Just be real. Just be you. But that was the problem. I didn't even know who me really was anymore. You. See, I had spent years shrinking myself, softening my voice, apologizing for needing more than crumbs. I learned how to be polite instead of honest. I learned how to survive instead of thrive. And I was tired. Tired of being too much for some, not enough for others. And then came this man, who didn't flinch when I cried, who didn't walk away when I opened up, who didn't tell me to calm down when I told him how much I'd been hurting. Instead, he looked at me and said, I'm not going anywhere. Say what you need to say. I remember that night so vividly. The room was dim, the window slightly open, a cool breeze slipping in like a whispered secret. And I told him everything about my past, about the times I had begged someone to stay and they left anyway, about how I was scared he would get tired of me too. He didn't speak right away. He just sat there and let the silence hold both of us. And then he reached out, took my hand, and said the words I didn't even realize I was desperate to hear. You don't have to beg. I'm already here. And I want to be here. That's when I said it. With tears rolling down my face, voice cracking, and heart pounding in my chest, I whispered, then please, never stop. Don't stop showing up. Don't stop caring. Don't stop being this present. He looked at me with the kind of softness that makes you want to believe again, and he said, I won't. And you know what? He never did. Not when life got messy. Not when I got distant. Not when my walls came back up. Not when I tried to push him away just to see if he'd leave like everyone else. He stayed. And the thing is, love doesn't always look like grand gestures or dramatic moments. Sometimes it looks like quiet mornings when he makes your coffee exactly how you like it. It looks like checking in when he knows you're overwhelmed but pretending you're fine. It looks like holding your hand in public and making you feel like you belong. It looks like remembering your favorite song and playing it on a rough day without saying a word. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. There were days when I woke up anxious, drowning in doubt, questioning whether I was lovable, worthy, enough. And each time, without fail, he would just be there, holding space for me, reminding me of who I was when I forgot, reflecting back to me the light I had buried under years of self-protection. And it wasn't just the romantic part, it was deeper than that. Because real connection is not just about feeling butterflies. It's about feeling safe, feeling seen, feeling like you can exhale. That's what he gave me, permission to exhale. I remember once I asked him, why? Why do you stay even when I get hard to love? And he said, because I don't love you for your ease. I love you for your truth. I love all of it, even the parts you try to hide. That broke me open, because no one had ever said that to me before. There's something healing about being chosen when you're not at your best. When your hair's a mess, when your temper, flares when your doubts creep in, and someone looks at you and chooses you anyway. And day after day, he chose me. Over and over. It wasn't always easy. We had arguments, we had quiet spells, we had days when we didn't know how to meet in the middle. But he never stopped trying, and I never stopped being honest. That was the deal. We don't fake it. Here, we speak, we listen, we fight fair, we stay. And now, years later, I think about that moment in the cafe. That scared, wounded version of me who whispered, "Please don't stop." And I smile, because he didn't. And I think that's the real magic. Not just finding someone who makes your heart race, but someone who's still holding your hand after all the racing slows down. Someone who keeps showing up, even when the excitement fades and real life kicks in. Someone who says, "I'm in," and means it. So if you're listening to this right now and you're wondering if that kind of love is real, it is. But it doesn't show up when you're pretending. It shows up when you're raw, when you're honest, when you stop chasing people who only want the convenient parts of you and start allowing yourself to be fully seen. Because the truth is, you don't have to beg someone who's meant to stay. You won't need to convince them. You won't have to shrink to keep them interested. When it's right, you'll know. Not because it's perfect, but because it's persistent. And when you find someone who loves like that, steady, intentional, soft, don't take it for granted. Match their energy. Show up for them too. And don't forget to say thank you. I say it to him all the time. Thank you for not stopping. Because I begged him once. I begged him to never stop. And he never did.